the 4th of June 1943. Mexia, Texas. A train breaks under a sky lit like 1,000 small suns. Electric light glows from every porch and storefront. In a Pullman car, a German sergeant grips a pencil and writes a forbidden line. The Americans must be lying. No nation at war could live like this. He presses his face to the glass. The streets are bright. The factories hum. And 1,850 veterans of the Afrika Korps step down not into darkness, but into a new kind of defeat, one measured in light, abundance, and mercy. 3 weeks earlier, in Tunisia, the Desert War ended. General Jürgen von Arnim surrendered 250,000 German and Italian troops, men who had fought the British to the gates of Egypt, now queued for processing under an American Sunday. They expected cruelty. They found clipboards, photographs, vaccinations, and fluent German explaining their rights. Then came the first shock: food. White bread, real coffee, meat twice a day. It must be propaganda, one prisoner muttered. But it wasn't. It was standard issue. The ships that carried them west were lessons afloat. Liberty ships, welded together in days, churned toward Virginia. A guard pointed at a radar dish spinning above a cargo deck. On a freighter, a Prussian officer would later write in disbelief, and every day at sea brought the same quiet revelation, full plates for sailors and prisoners alike, and waste that told its own story of limitless supply. The 2nd of August, 1943. The harbour at Norfolk stretches for miles. Cranes swing like metronomes. Dozens of ships dock and undock in a single day, more tonnage than Hamburg handles in a week. Prisoners march past parking lots packed with workers' cars. In Germany, a car is a privilege. Here it looks like a birthright. A man from the Ruhr whispers, "Everyone drives." The next lesson rides on steel rails. Not cattle cars, but Pullman coaches. Padded seats, white tablecloths, and an embarrassed guard apologizing for weak air conditioning in August. Outside, towns slide by Martinsville, Danville, Greensboro, each one blazing with light at midnight. A German engineer stares at the railway yard and does the math. 1 hour here uses more electricity than his Berlin district consumes in a day. It is the carelessness of infinite resource, he writes. At a water stop, Americans work with machines that turn 2 hours into 30 minutes. Coal hoppers tip, pumps thrum, electric motors whine. The prisoners watch workers in leather boots, drink Coca-Cola from glass bottles, take 2 drags of a cigarette, and toss it. Not mockery, just habit. Tennessee brings a river of aluminum. A plant stretches for miles, about as long as 10 football fields, drawing power that could light a city in Europe. Near Louisville, a cluster of synthetic rubber plants rises from what was farmland 18 months earlier. Germany invented the process. America industrialized it. Then the train passes Willow Run. From a single factory floor, the size of a small town, B-24 bombers roll out on a clockwork schedule, 1 an hour, the guard says, almost casually. A Luftwaffe pilot counts fuselages and falls silent. Street Louis opens on the Mississippi, barges stacked with grain. Each elevator holds enough wheat to feed a city for months. In Kansas City, stockyards stretch out like a moving plain of muscle and horn. A prisoner who lived on 200 grams of meat a week in Africa watches a longshoreman bite into a beef sandwich. They eat meat, he writes, as we wish we could eat bread. Texas builds a town in 4 months and calls it a camp. Electric light in every barracks, hot water, flush toilets, X-ray machines in the hospital, penicillin for infections the Germans treat with prayer and salt. They used it freely, a German surgeon recalls, even on prisoners. In the kitchens, walk-in refrigerators hum. Machines churn out meals for thousands. Regulations require a 10% surplus to ensure no man goes hungry. The surplus is thrown away. A former hotel chef from Munich stares at the trash and weeps. By September, the war is short of hands, and America borrows those of its enemies. Trucks carry prisoners to farms and mills. No blindfolds, no detours. They see everything. Endless corn and wheat, harvesters that do 100 men's work in a day, tractors worth more than a German family's lifetime savings. On one farm, a 16-year-old drives a machine he calls nothing special. His father, he says, is waiting for the better model. In a cannery, An elderly woman watches gauges and levers that replace 50 workers. She sips coffee. The line runs smooth as a watch. Across a river from the Rouge complex, prisoners unload coal for a power plant. They look out at parking lots that could pass for car dealerships. Workers' cars, a guard says. Some families own two. The statement hangs in the air like a foreign language. The change begins with statistics and ends with sight. Camp newspapers shift from patriotic fables to earnest questions about democracy, economics, and law. A captured officer writes, "We were told America was weak and divided. Every day I see the opposite." Another watches Italian former prisoners, now in service units, work freely and eat in restaurants. The Americans show them no hatred, he notes. And I wonder who we are. Christmas arrives with a clarity no speech could match. Choirs sing carols in German. Churchwomen bring cakes. Boy Scouts deliver cards made by hand. Dinner is turkey, ham, potatoes, pie, and the cold miracle of ice cream. A corporal writes, "We ate like kings and they said this is what every American family eats. By spring, tents become classrooms. Universities send books and professors. Physics lectures mention Jewish scientists teaching enemy prisoners without a trace of bitterness. In camp theaters, prisoners watch films that criticize America's past and present, and then watch Americans applaud the honesty. They hide nothing," one lieutenant writes. "It makes them stronger." Then comes D-Day on a screen harbors built from scratch, beaches supplied like ports, an air armada that darkens the sky. The scale is not a number, it's a feeling in the gut. "We sent horses against their trucks," one POW writes, "courage against abundance." Some lessons cut deeper than power. A camp commander delivers condolences to a prisoner whose son died in Hamburg. Another arranges food parcels for a wife in Germany who can't keep her children fed. "They told us they fought Hitler, not Germans," a sergeant notes. For once, a slogan turned out to be true. Psychiatry replaces punishment for men on the edge. Surgery repairs injuries that would have ended a life back home. The message is unspoken but unmistakable. A society certain of itself can afford to be kind. In April 1945, film from the liberated camps forces a reckoning. Men who clung to pride through defeat look away or weep. "We thought we were warriors for a great cause," one writes. "We discovered we were tools of criminals." The last months bring vocational courses, farm training, discussions of a plan to rebuild Europe rather than starve it. Some prisoners ask to stay in America. Others quietly decide to bring America's habits home. Between 1943 and 1946, hundreds of thousands of German prisoners crossed a continent of light. They arrived expecting hatred and hunger. They found abundance, order, and something more dangerous to tyranny than any weapon: dignity extended to enemies. The transformation didn't happen in lecture halls. It happened on loading docks and dinner lines, under street lamps that never went dark, a freighter's radar dish, a factory that made bombers like clockwork, a farm boy on a tractor, a church choir singing Stille Nacht. These were the arguments that broke a creed. Many would return to a shattered Germany carrying notebooks full of figures and a head full of practical truths. Standardize, educate, electrify, feed your children well, tell the truth in public, and treat the defeated like future neighbors. The post-war miracle would need money and machines, but it also needed men who had seen a working democracy up close. On that June night in Mexia, a soldier wrote, "The Americans must be lying." 3 years later, the same man might have written, "We were lying to ourselves." The arsenal of democracy defeated an army. Its everyday abundance, its lights, its loaves, its open hands helped defeat an idea. And for thousands of men who stepped off that train, the first flicker of freedom looked exactly like electricity burning at 10 p.m. on Railroad Street.